Okay, so as I mentioned in a previous video, I want to share with you guys my updated foundation routine. So I'm gonna first of all start by doing my eyebrows off camera, and then I'll come back and we'll get into it. Okay? Okay, so I went off camera to do my eyebrows, and then I remembered that I usually do my primers before I do my eyebrows. I swear filming makes me so nervous that I end up messing up little stuff like this, but we're just gonna continue with the video. But anyway, for primer I am going to be using Primark's primer water to prime the majority of my face, and then I'm gonna go in with a Smashbox's iconic primer stick, and it is a mattifying primer just to prime the oiliest parts of my face, which is like my nose area or my T-zone, and then also the sides of my face. So I'll just let that dry a little bit. And then I'm just going to go in with my hands and blend that out. Okay, so for foundation, I will be using Urban Decay's All Nighter Waterproof Foundation in the shade 12, and then also Max Factor's Miracle Match Foundation, the Blur Nourish, in the shade 95, and it's called Tawny. Okay, so this one has a little bit of a yellow undertone, which is really good for my skin because I have a bit of a yellow undertone in my skin as well. But the only issue with this foundation is that it is a little bit too light. So while this one has a little bit of a red undertone, so my skin is more of a yellowish brown rather than a reddish brown, so the two together make a perfect foundation shade for my skin. The only issue with mixing foundation shades though is that you can never always get it right. So sometimes I've got too much of this, sometimes it's too much of this, or then sometimes it just works out really well and I have a really good foundation shade. So the makeup brush that I'll be using to apply this or blend the foundation is this brush that I got off eBay, and it's just a flat top brush. Okay, so what I like to do with the foundation is I like to stipple it all around my face to just make sure I get like even amounts of foundation in each areas of my face, and then once I do that I go in and just blend it all in. So I really just like the way that one layer of foundation looks. So now for concealer, I will be using I like using two concealers. Again, I'm never just satisfied with like one product. I like mixing and matching. So I'm gonna be using M.A.C Studio Finish Concealer in the shade NW40. I actually picked out the shade color myself and it is way too light. I don't know why anybody didn't help me at the counter. I was clearly struggling. I stood at the counter for about 10-15 minutes looking for a concealer shade, and I just picked whichever I thought was good. I came home, tried it on, and I was like, damn, that's too light. And then for my second concealer, I'm using NARS's Creamy Radiant Concealer, and this one I actually got some assistance in picking, and it's in the shade Amande Medium Dark 3, and I feel like this is also a little bit too light. Like, I just messed up. What I do with the M.A.C one is I put a small dollop of foundation in just to make it easier to apply and to make the shade a little bit more my skin tone. Alright, so I'll be applying it with this flat top concealer brush. So I really like to concentrate the concealer in the inner corners of my eye because that's where my dark circles are really evident, and then I just flare it out because I don't really have that much dark circles on the outer corners of my eye. Okay, and then I go in with the Creamy Radiant Concealer. It just helps me blend the matte concealer a little bit better and just adds a little bit more coverage. And then I'm gonna go in with the same concealer just to highlight the bridge of my nose, just this part here, the tip of my nose, and also my forehead. I personally really like blending my concealers with this foundation brush because I feel like it doesn't eat up as much product as a beauty blender, so I prefer to use this over a beauty blender. Okay, so with the concealer that's also under my eyes, I like to take it onto my eyelids. It's becoming really challenging to blend, but this does not happen when you're not trying to film and put concealer on at the same time. Ideally, I should put the concealer on and then blend. But I'm just trying to explain things to you guys, and it's dried up so much. It's so difficult. Oh. Okay, we're making progress though. I'm having a little bit of a technical difficulty, or not technical, but okay. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go in with my foundation brush just to try and even out that really harsh line. Like, okay, so from what I can see in the mirror, that should do. Now for powder, I will be using Laura Mercier's setting translucent powder, okay, in the color medium deep, and I'll also be using this brand spanking new beauty blender. So I have had my previous beauty blender for well over 2 years, and apparently you're supposed to change it every 6 months. Like, who knew? I just thought it was a lot more hygienic because like I have to wash it before every use, so I didn't think I'd need to replace it every 6 months. But I finally got a new one, and it's been on my desk for a while because I wanted to use it for this video just because it looks really nice and clean. So I like to apply my powders with a beauty blender. Well, I like to bake underneath my eyes with a beauty blender just because I feel like the beauty blender picks up a lot more product which I can then put all over my face. Whereas a brush, if you try baking with a brush, it's hard. I've tried it before because I didn't want to open this, but it's not fun. Okay, so oh my god, so new, so pretty. Oh my god, it feels so nice. Maybe this is why they recommend you buying one every 6 months. Okay, so for baking, I like to put it underneath my eyes, which is important, on my forehead, my nose, my smile lines. So I personally think it's so good to change up your foundation routine every now and then. A, because the weather changes, so your previous foundation routine could react differently to the weather conditions. This is a real thing. Like at the moment where I'm currently working, the air conditioner doesn't work, so this place is very warm, and I noticed that my foundation just kept like getting oily really fast. Like halfway through the day it will be like, I am glowing, I am so dewy, it's ridiculous. So you just have to change up your foundation routine depending on the environment. So at the moment I actually do need to invest in like a tougher primer because this one isn't working the best, but for now it's still good enough. Now whilst all of this is baking, I am going to do my eyes, and then by the time I've done with my eyes, the baking should be done, and then I should be able to brush it off. Okay, so I've done my eye makeup. Really simple, literally just put a brown on my eyelids. And now I'm gonna set the rest of my face with the same powder, the Mercier one, and another flat top brush, but this one isn't as dense as the one that I use for my foundation. So it just makes it a lot easier to blend the powder. I've blended out all the parts of my face that was baking, and now I'm just going to go back in with the primer water to hydrate my face a little bit, just because all that powder made me look really powdery and I just wanted to tone it down a little bit. Alright, so for my highlighter today I'll be using Revolution's Vivid Baked Bronzer. It's not really a highlighter, it's a bronzer, but I really like the way that it looks, so it's what I'm using. Okay, and I like applying my highlighter on my nose with this angled eyeshadow brush. So for my highlighter or bronzer or whatnot, I'm gonna go in with the fan brush, and I got this to apply highlighter because I've seen a lot of people using it to apply highlighter and it looks like a lot of fun, but I'm not a huge fan of it. Like, I feel like I have no control of where my highlighter goes. It's just kind of like splatters the highlighter everywhere. But just look how fun this is. I mean, does it not make you want to try it? I don't know. I'm just gonna go back to what I know, so I'm going back to that same brush. So now that the highlighting is done, I'm gonna go back and finish off my eyes, putting some highlighter in the inner corner of my eyes, putting on some mascara, maybe a black in the waterline, and then I'll be back. Okay, alright, and that is it for this week's video. And I was gonna put my wig on, but I kind of like looking bald. Like, it's not even bad. It's not even bad. I kind of look cute, you know. Now that the foundation's on and stuff, I feel like I could live like this. Maybe I should just shave my head. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and I will see you in the next one, whenever that is.